Welcome guys, we have another Age of Empires 4 game here. This time we have Happy Bear playing as the English in the color green against his opponent playing as the Trushi's Legacy in the color purple. It's Everly guys, welcome everybody, hope you're having a great time. I'm really curious to see how this one turns out. We don't see a really Trushi's Legacy very often. We usually see the Chinese Trushi's Legacy, often a civilization that was heavily busted on the release of the game just because they had like the cheaper farms and they can just feudal push and get a mass number of Jugunus and just having the farm transition at the same time, kind of like the English but with asteroids. And after the nerf, we stopped seeing them on the ladder very often. I'm not really curious how Trushi's Legacy is played now, but like we see a little bit of a push, not so much of a really, committed push like we have seen before. We also see like the fast castle build because Trushi's Legacy in the Tang Dynasty, if they don't create the second landmark, they do have discount for going for the feudal age. Let me see. I cannot really see how much it costs. It costs less. I don't remember how much percentage it costs, but it costs much less. So what we see often is just Trushi Legacy players just going a really very fast castle build. Very fast castle. Potentially going into the Shaolin Monastery to grab those relics. And have I told you how strong these monks are? Like, I knew they were strong. Yesterday I was playing a game against a guy who played the Trushi's Legacy. And I was just minding my own business. He went fast castle. I gave up the map control. It's like, okay, it's okay. You can have some relics for now. And one of the monks went to where my villagers were gathering berry bushes. And he just completely destroyed them. Like, I looked for a second to the other side of the screen, and it's just like the guy was like, pa 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 pa. It's like, what is this? And I generally didn't move the villagers just so that I can see how dangerous is this bold guy. Like, I didn't know it was that strong, and he really is. He really is. So, we're seeing Abbey of Kings coming for the English. Classic English build that we see very often. Go for the king, harass the opponent, go for a second TNC, go for the white tower in your base. We already know how this works. Most likely we will see the same. I'm not really sure. No, not always happens the same, but it's a really strong build and it's really hard to punish. Just because of the English defenses are so strong. That's why I'm so curious, like, how is Trushi's Legacy playing this? Because if you have the mass Truganus, I don't know if that will work against the English base. English is one of the few civilizations that I find it really hard to finish the game in the feudal age. Just because the units are not really that tanky against the TC fire. And, I may need some armor units to get inside. And indeed, it's gonna be the second town center for Happy Bear. And well, Aveley, let's take a look at Meditation Gardens. A little bit of gold, berries, double gold. Not a bad spot. Not a bad spot at all. Let's see how much income per minute he has. I always love to have the Meditation Gardens, to have on the stun. Just so that... The stun is one of those things that I usually forget to get. And it's kind of important. Just because you really need to upgrade those towers or get eventually a keep in the future. Like if you want to secure map control, you need that stun. So I'm having the habit of just leaving one guy on the stun, and just anytime I need to upgrade something, suddenly I do have the resources for it. And it works quite well for me. It works quite well. And it's only one. No, not a big deal. Not a big deal. Meanwhile, outpost here gonna get upgraded, so the king doesn't really bother here. Looks like a fast castle build for me. Definitely. Let's see Meditation Gardens, how much food per minute. 46 food per minute, 48 is basically a couple of villagers working overtime here. Meanwhile, the English almost half the stone for going for that second town center. Now, if Abely goes for the fast castle, grabs those relics, and he's still behind on villager count, I don't think it's that bad. If you manage to secure at least 4 relics, potentially you can get all 5, because the English is not the type of civilization that will just move the units here next to the deer and just start gathering resources, and then suddenly this relic, it's a little bit hard to get. They mostly stay in their base. Oh my god, look at that. It's a Chinese style town center. It's been a while since I've seen those. Because usually the Chinese need to put a town center next to it, because they get the resources, extra resources from the drop off on the, on the economic buildings. But this is really strange for me. Normally you want like at least to put it here, just to have extra places for farms, and then you can nicely place your white tower in somewhere where you have space and you kind of cover all your farms. And there you go, Shaolin Monastery is coming up for Avely. See, what's the first relic he's going? He's going deep. He's going really deep this time. And that's a good choice, because his opponent doesn't have any unit. It's only a king. I rather think that the Shaolin monk is actually a very good unit against the king. I like to think that way. I don't think it's gonna be an issue. It goes directly to the relic that is very, very far. Let's see how Happy Bear will react to this. Meanwhile, I just having the second town center. So like he's going for the deer, not going for farms. Interesting choice. Interesting choice for sure. The king gonna guard this relic. Looks like he's gonna intersect the Shaolin monk that is coming here. Look at this guy, 15 attack, 2 melee armor. They're pretty much the same. You just have a little bit more HP here. Oh my god. The king leave. It's gonna be the wolf who's gonna face the Shaolin monk. Meanwhile, more wolves coming here, just securing this food resource. An extra gold vein. I never seen this style before. Meanwhile, can also put this one. That's actually only range damage, so that doesn't really matter that much. Shaolin monk finally gonna grab that relic. Meanwhile, let's take a look at what Avely is thinking. Okay, I'm gonna grab the relics, but what else? Like, what's the plan? Maybe a stable here, just to have some knights, to have some map control. Actually, that's the play here. When you go for a kind of fast castle, having knights is really, really good. Just because it's have a high quality unit, you don't need much, and you don't have much time to produce units. So that's actually a good choice. Looks like he's gonna go for an expansion here. It's like my opponent going for a second town center. I might as well go for a second town center. And I'm not sure if he wants to go for the Song Dynasty yet to have that discount for the second TC. Not really sure about that. Meanwhile, Happy Bear, gonna be even happier. Gonna get the white tower. Like, man, this base, technically you cannot kill your opponent now. Like, how things are going. Like, look at the town center, look at the Abbey of Kings next to the white tower. That's the English at its finest. Like, I would love to see some farms here. Not even a single economic upgrade for Happy Bear. It's like, you know what? I'm just gonna rush castle. I don't need those eco upgrades. Meanwhile, Monastery coming here. Looks like he's feeling very confident about getting all those relics. And the cool thing is this monk, this Shaolin monk, only costs food, so you don't really need gold to produce those. So it's great. It's kind of like a really good unit actually. It's very, very good. Looks like he's getting home 5 relics. Meanwhile, Happy Bear playing very defensively now. Look at that. Not a single farm. Meanwhile, Yangnang Tower coming here, and with that Yangnang Tower, gotta love the Wololo sound. That doesn't happen with the king. Confirm. Confirm. The king versus the Charlie monk. Got a little bit greedy. Got a little bit greedy with the relic on his back. I mean, you should have just go back with the relic there and then capture the secret site. But to be fair, there's plenty of reasons to be greedy. Crossbows coming out from the white tower. Well, I'm gonna finish the job. It's like this time I'm not gonna capture the sacred site. King cannot be converted. Meanwhile, Charlie monks are still here. Can actually go help this fella. Town center coming up. 3 TCs already up for Avely. Having the time of his life, actually. Spearman coming up for him. That's a cool thing about the Yangnang Tower. You get instant units as soon as you build those military buildings, which give you reminds me of the Don Artie build, where he will just build like 50 barracks and just instead of building stables or barracks or whatever, instead of building units, he just built the barracks. That's how he used to do it. Look at that proxy base, exactly like my internet is in China. I just pay for proxy so I can have access to YouTube and whatnot. Now the good news is that I can actually now stream. I pay for an extra service that, because when you stream, it kind of like the OBS doesn't connect to the VPN. I don't use VPNs. Like VPNs work terrible in China, but I use some kind of, let's call it a VPN, like VPN with asteroids. It's called like you rent proxy servers, and that's basically what you do. So I pay for an extra service to make sure my stream connects directly to the proxy server, just like this proxy barracks here. I connect it directly to here, and I get it's very fast connection. Look at that. I love the arrangement of this. It's like very well put. Usually when you do this kind of buildings very fast, it's like they're very in an organized position. I must say, Happy Bear is a guy who loves order. I'm sure his house is very organized too. Look at this. Look at this. Like, it's not even one tile away. Like, they are all of them evenly distributed. I'm sure he has some kind of what was the name? Compulsive obsessive disorder. I don't really know the name of that thing. It's too long for me. Meanwhile, Avely pumping units. It's gonna be Spearman crossbow. Very good composition. Must be feeling really good to have all those relics at home. 5 relics at home. Oh my god, that's it's gonna be a tough one. It's gonna be a Happy Bear. You shouldn't be very happy about it. Meanwhile, Palace Guards gonna go for a raid. Or units gathering wood, need that production buildings. Looks like we're gonna see a nest of bees coming soon. Another house. Look at that. He doesn't. This is a guy who optimizes the space of the map. Look at this. You could have put it here, and then you don't have any space for any other building. But this is a guy who, hey, this is pretty much like saving paper. When you go to the toilet, it's like, hey, you remember this was once a tree. Let's save it as much as we can so we don't waste it. This guy is heavily optimizing the space in his base and outside of his base. I'm sure he loves nature. Meanwhile, I keep inside of the base just to make sure. You never know when the English gonna go push. Let's take a look at Avely's vision. Just gathering some stun. He doesn't have intel of what's going on inside his base. He knows he's on second town center, sees the white tower. Meanwhile, these guys are just like, they don't pay me enough to keep pushing here in this side of the map. Meanwhile, the English army, slow but steady, building good numbers. I remember with the network of castles, it's gonna... They just have the advantage here. They just have the huge advantage. Meanwhile, an English player that goes out for the deer. Oh my god. I never seen that before. Meanwhile, crossbows gonna scare those palace guards. And finally, the first encounter we're gonna see here. The English finally decides, you know what, it's time to attack. Sees the keep, says, actually, not a really good idea, Paul. Like, I come tomorrow to visit you. Not today, man, not today. Goes back with the battering rams. Like, man, the keep worked really well there. Man-at-Arms gonna get one shot by 1,000 crossbows. Meanwhile, the English just, let's go back home. No problem. Or at least let's just fight where there is not a big keep in my face. Outpost not gonna go up. Palace guard still trying to get inside the English base. Meanwhile, farm transition, not a farm transition for the English. Amazing stuff here. Amazing. We're witnessing a really unorthodox way of playing the English this time. Walls coming up for Avely. It looks like the sneaky Man-at-Arms just managed to go inside the base. I don't know how long they will last, but I hope they get some value out of this. Otherwise, they just run and pretty much die for nothing. Finally, Palace Guards went down. Meanwhile, Avely, same economic count, but he does have taxes and he does have 5 relics, so it's kind of important, kind of really important. Like, Ram is gonna go there directly to the Jiangnan Tower. And the farm just right next to the farms. Gonna send those Man-at-Arms. There's plenty of crossbows and nests of beasts to deal with that. Springald's also there for Avely. Happy Bear just sending more units here in the middle. It's gonna be Man-at-Arms only. Like, finally, they will find a villager. No villager kill so far. Sending all those units, but not a single trade for Happy Bear. He's just losing some of those units entering to the Chinese base. Springald gonna try to take down the villager. Wonderful. Meanwhile, Man-at-Arms finally getting some value here. Not for long. Siege Workshop already here. Probably we're gonna see a trebuchet. But there are plenty of Springalds here, so you gotta be careful. You gotta be careful with that. Actually, send your own Springalds from the White Tower. It actually works quite well, just because they produce in 15 seconds. You just need quite a lot of wood for that, which Happy Bear doesn't have that at the moment. +1 range armor coming up for Avely. And now he's just going for it. I keep in the middle. It's like Happy Bear will have to fall back for now. He doesn't have the military numbers. He lost quite a lot of Man-at-Arms into that Chinese base. And now Avely with a really, really strong composition. 27 crossbow, 23 palace guards, and 5 nest of bees. I mean, if there is a civilization that can actually survive this kind of push, it is the English. You just need to Berkshire, and I think that's his plan. Look at how many villagers are here. 14 plus 22, 30 something villagers on gold. This is a guy who wants to go Imperial, wants to go now. The problem is, where do you put the Berkshire? Like, do you put it here next to the big gold vein? That's probably the best spot here if you want to secure your late game. But if you cannot, you will be forced to put it here, and there's basically nothing to protect here other than the farms. And you already have the white tower for that. Barracks coming down. Happy Bear building the Berkshire. Das Avely knows about this. He doesn't know about this. He's slowly pushing here with this army. Take a look at the fog of war. Really see what's going on. Looks like the Berkshire will go up, and with the Berkshire, unfortunately, these units won't be able to do much. And English goes to the Imperial Age. Meanwhile, Temple of the Sun. Somewhere in this map. There you go. Temple of the Sun. Coming up for the Chinese. Or Palace Guards. Stonewalls coming here. Gonna get blocked by the single mill. Gotta be careful here. Villagers trying to repair this. Leads the mill. Imperial Age for Avely. And Happy Bird taps out. Well played by these two players. Hopefully you enjoyed this one, and I will see you in the next one.